Hello, my name's Robert Adams from Papercrafts Limited, and today I've come and brought you a few more from our range of all occasion dies. Now today's show we're looking at weddings and wedding cards. Now I am going to do a whole show on wedding stationery, and we're going to look to it from start to finish, so from the invite to all the guest paraphernalia that goes with it, i.e. the menu, save the date, everything basically that goes through with it. However, coming back to today's show, what I want to do is sort of dip our toe into the water and give you a taste for it and look at some of the dies. Now, saying dies, the first I'm going to start off with is our CD, Complete Wedding CD-ROM. Again, all the details are on our website, all the wpapercrafts.co.uk. Now this is sort of our signature CD. It's one that we work long and hard on, and I think we're pretty good at weddings. There's lots of lovely stationery on here, lots to guide you through as well. Not necessary to have, but it certainly makes life a lot easier. And all the papers and everything from the cards that I'll be doing, I'm going to work off of the CD here. But of course, today's really about inspiration and ideas. You can use anything that you want. Now we've got quite a few dies to look at, and these will be revisited when we do the wedding show per se. Today is really about wedding invites. So we've got our all occasion dies range here, and we've got the doves and the horseshoe. We're going to be using that. We've got the bell and the rings here. Now we looked at this one on the Christmas one. If you've seen that, we cut the little hearts out. And here we've got some lovely flowers, some ribbons and some glasses. So lots of lovely little icons there. And we've got on your special day there. Now for the words, we do have a whole range of wedding dies as well. But as I said, today I'm keeping it, believe it or not, a little bit simple and hopefully a little bit shorter. And I'm going for our wedding day, and we've got for you, to your and on your as a die as well. So I'm going to use that for the wording actually on the first card that we do. So those are the dies that we'll be using throughout the show. And again, that's just my serving suggestion. So let's get on and start. This is the first one I want to show you. And I think it's a lovely card, quite simple to make and looks very, very effective. Again, these are serving suggestions. You can change the title, you could put anniversary on there, you can do whatever you want. But for this purpose of this one, I want to run through, and I'm going to change the wording. We're going to use the upright rather than the italic. This is all from our wedding set. Save that for that particular show, but we do in our normal range wedding day as well. So that's the one I'm going to use to start off with. Everything else we've used from our dies. Just to point out, you will need something to cut the circle. You can either do it by hand if you're feeling lucky, or you possibly have a die or an aperture card you could work on that's already pre-cut for you. They're pretty straightforward. Size-wise, this is a 7x7 card, and it's a basically matte and layering and just building up and getting a little bit of 3D with the dies as well. So, no images from the CD used on this one. It'll be for the other two. And what we've got here is a basic case of matte and layering to start us off, and using our foam pads as well. Now I've gone for a pearlescent, a nice white, silvery white pearlescent card, 7x7 inches cut down for that. Standard fare, 250 GSM. That gives you a nice weight to work on. The base, again, using a matte silver here. I don't think we want anything too glaring, so everything I've gone for just is a matte in this particular instance. And again, that's just sort of personal choice. This is really up to you, but as much as I love the silvers, I think just muting it down in this case is perhaps the wiser choice. First layer goes down. Whoops, I'm just using my tape pen here. I'm just trying to get that to come back in on itself. Let's keep doing that. You know, this seems to be almost a regular occurrence. I think I might change tape pens. But one of the things, and I will point this out, if you go too upright, it seems to get this little loop on it. So I've noticed that if I just keep going and keep it a little lower, I can probably, you can see it just starts to work its way back in. So my handy hint to you on the tape pens is try to keep them at a lowish angle so that doesn't happen to you. And if it does, you can either wind it back in manually or do it like so. All right, back to our card. First layer down. We know this stuff is going to stick really hard and fast, so I'm just lining it up. Using my fingers here, I've got a little bit of wiggle room, and as long as everything's square, whoops, just going to, whoops, no, that one's stuck down, and do you know what? It's slightly short there. So, disaster at the first start, or is it? So what I'm going to do now is I haven't pushed down too hard on there. With any luck now, and with my scalpel blade, if I don't cut too deep, I should just be able to lift that off and get away with that. There you go. So if that happens to you and it's not quite square, providing you haven't taped everything down really, really hard, you can retrieve it and pull it back out of the cauldron. So there we go. Sigh of relief. Right, next layer is going to go down, and again I'm just going to check this before I pop it down. That's probably cutting. Yep, that's okay, that's okay. I'm going to again just take a little slither off of this to make sure. You know, I keep saying this, that I always have a little bit more room at the bottom than the top as a visual thing. But it also helps that if you're matte and layering, and it's very close tolerances here, if you've got a little bit more room at the base, you've got a bit of wiggle room if things don't quite go right. There we go, that's fine. I'll just pop that to there, and that's okay down there. So I'm happy with that. So the next thing to do is just pop on my foam pads. Now, I would, if you've got them, 1mm would be great. Mine are probably nearer 2mm, but we only need to lift it slightly. And I'll just pop those on. So I'll just go on now, and I'm just going to pop all these foam pads on, take off the back, and then pop it down onto the card there. My foam pads are now on, you can see there. And so I'm just going to offer this up. Again, this glue will grab almost the moment that it goes down. So I'm just going to gently start laying that in position. Whoops, actually stuck to my finger there, so it's take two. Again, just bring it down. I'm just trying to rest it, so if anything goes wrong, I could still move it, but I'm happy with that. That's gone down, so I'll just gently apply pressure on my foam pads here. And there we go. A little bit tricky that, but it always is a tense moment. So I'll share that with you, even for me. And I've made, I don't know, countless amounts of cards. Every time I pop that down, always hoping it's going to go where I want it to. It usually does. But as I said, if you're nice and gentle with it, you've got a bit of wiggle room. Right, so that's our basic card now. And we've got all the elements to put on it. But what I want to do is have a look at my typeface first of all, because I'm going to go to For You on Your Wedding Day. I'm going to use a silver card, which I've just got to the side here. And this is a linen based one. So I'm just going to give a little bit, rather than work with this colour, I'm going to go for something slightly different as well. But again, is a matte finish to it. So without further ado, I'll get these dies out, pop them on the cutting machine now, and we'll just cut some of those and just show you how they pop out. First instance, just get that off from the backing paper there, and we actually working with the smaller ones, so I could save a little bit of material here. Always give yourself a little bit more than you use as well. I'm telling you from experience here that I try to skimp sometimes, and it's so close to the edge and it doesn't cut, and I do it twice. So there we go. And I can do the same again. We've got our little words. Let's just show you here. They're all separate. So For You on Your, To From can stay for another day. So I'll leave that there. And again, let's just see. I always try to preserve as much card as I can. There we go. I'll be able to cut all of this all in one shot. So just rest that to there. Pop that there. And bring on my machine. As ever, I'm using the Big Shot. Whoops. And just make sure everything's clear from the last cutting. So I've got little bits of paper on there. Always important. If you're new to crafting, just try and keep as clean as possible with all of this on your plates. And if you're a seasoned crafter, you'll have learnt from experience. the hard way, probably, like I have. Okay, this machine cuts pretty well wherever you pop it, but it doesn't do any harm to stick nearer to the edges. So wedding day on that side, and on this side over here, I'll pop that down. I'm going to do on your, for you, and just pop those in there like so. My top plate will go on. Make sure everything's in there. That's a little bit close to the edge, but I should be okay. I think that once it bites in, it's fine. I always go through twice, partly because I'm back to where I started more than anything else. Let's put all the plates there. Take the machine out of the way and lift off the top one there, and you'll see these cut beautifully. And I'm going to be very careful because they're just dropping out. So there we go. I've got wedding day, so that's my day there. Wedding is little tap, that's popped out there, so put that die to one side now, and I'll just brush away all the bits. And then on your, it's just dropped out there, and for you it's still in there, so a little tap and that should just come bouncing out, which it does. You can use the pokey tool, and I just wanted to show you that they will drop out. If it's still just slightly held in, it's sometimes with the smaller words better just to use the pokey tool because it's not going to go flying everywhere like that could have done. Okay, so there. Just to bring back my card now, and just pop those to one side and just start laying out what's going where, and then you can glue. I've done this before, so I'm just going to show you first of all, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue it. We'll come back. But before I do that, I'm just laying everything out, and this way I can get my centering. So I'm going to be probably good to start with the word wedding, wouldn't it? And that's another reason I don't glue everything right away, just in case you have a moment and you stuck it the wrong way round. But that way you can now see, yeah, I'm happy with that. I don't have to be too perfect at this stage. Wedding day, pretty well centered, maybe a fraction over there. Now you can do it by eye visually, or you can measure. It's up to you. So that's in place there, and I'm just going, I'll come back obviously and glue that in a moment. And if I can just pick up these other little words, and on your, so that's going to be over there, and for you just coming up here like so. Okay, you get the gist of what we're doing here, but it's always good practice just to lay it out first, make sure you're visually happy with where it is, and then go ahead and stick it, and then you'll know now that's the positioning for everything on there. So that's what I'm going to do next. Save you just watching me gluing it, same as we've done in all the other shows. A little dot of glue. I'm using my Cosmic Shimmer here, and I'll go on now, just stick that, and we'll come back and look at all the other lovely elements that we've got to put on this card. I've gone on and stuck my words down here, so for you on your wedding day, and I've used, as I said, the linen silver. I really like that. I think that looks really nice. A little bit of sparkle to it, but not too much. It's not too blingy. So the next thing to do is just start decorating the card, and the first part here I'm going to use from our wedding collection, and it's the wedding bells, complete with the hearts, and we're going to put a few little diamonds on there as well. So I've got 2mm foam pads there. I'm going to put a few dots of glue onto here, and just along the top there to hold it, and a little bit down here, and the rest I'm just going to let this, what I call, bridge across from that piece to that piece there. So just have a look and see. I think it's best if you have them at a slight angle like that rather than both upright. Just drop that down there, so the glue is on there and just on the top, and that, just as I said, nicely bridges across our gap there and still has a little bit of lift to it. So I'm just going to pull that away just a little bit there. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm happy with that. I can create almost a bit of artificial tension by pushing it. It will make it bow slightly. Right, so that's that part there. And just as a finishing touch, I've got these little diamonds here, and what I'm going to do, because I know they're a little bit small and fiddly, I just scoop it up on my craft knife and then just pop it down like that. Now I always think it's these little touches, tiny little bits, that just make your card look extra special. So there we go, pop those there and there like that. It just finishes it off beautifully. Okay, so from there we've now got the hearts to put on there. Just having a little look here. I'm just bringing back the die collection here, because it's quite a nice little set of dies here. We've got the hearts within the bells, which we can cut out. We've got the hearts here and the rings. So I've gone on ahead and cut these, and that's what I'm going to use now. So I think the next thing to do are if I just get all my bits and pieces together, as I've got my rings, which can go down there, and I want to have a quick chat about those in a moment. And here are my hearts. So when you cut, there's an obvious top and a bottom, because the beauty of dies is the fact that it bevels as it cuts. Now I've got a cutting machine and I can cut loads of things on it, and I'm not knocking them because I love them and I use them a lot, but I cannot get the beautiful, lovely effect that you get with dies. End of. There's no way around it, because it cuts, it bevels, for my mind, for card making, is just lovely. And I said, I'm not sort of knocking the cutting machines. I've got one and I love using it, but if you want something that looks special, that looks very pretty, then this really is, in my mind, the best way of going forwards. Now I'm going to pop one up there, and I'm just going to bring this one down a little bit lower than that one. So I don't want it to look too mechanical, like everything's lining up. It's nice just to offset your design where you can. And so I'm going to bring this one down to here like so. And it just gives, I hope, a little bit more interest to the card as ever. I'm just going to use my kitchen towel here just to take off the excess, but that will dry clear anyway. And then we've got our wedding rings here, and I'll just glue again the back here. Now with the wedding rings, we've got the men's and the ladies, or the bride and the grooms. Another point, too much glue, just dab it there. So the larger ring, which should sit in the foreground here, is for the man, and that's the best way of doing it, rather than sticking it that way. You've got right, there's no real right or wrong, but when I designed it for the perspective, I had in mind the larger one just coming slightly forward to us there, like so. And again, just rub that down, and that's in position there. So I'm happy with that. The next thing to do is to use our flourish leaf, and we've used this a lot in all of the card projects that I've worked with. I'm just going to bring these into shot, and I've just thought I didn't actually show you this die, but underneath you'll see on the video here we've got a little info bar that will tell you about this one. This is our flourish leaf, and it does so much work for you. It's a must-have. I can't put it any other way. There's a left and a right, and I'm just looking at what I've got here, so I want it to, you can get some lovely curves and movement with this. And as ever, I'm just going to lay out everything before I actually glue it. Now with design, I'm a great fan of what we call going over the edge. So rather than having everything in, it's just going to spill out slightly like so. And I'll probably have that one just covering that bit there, and just working my way along like so. I might bring that one down a little bit. See, this is the good part about playing with these, that you've got the chance just to have a little look at everything and see where it's all going to go. And again, I'll just have that one there. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I might just move these a wee bit closer, and then that one to there like so. And out of the middle of the set from the doves, and we're going to bring the doves in a moment. We'll just show you here, we've got a little heart, and that's going to sit. I'm just going to grab that on top and just cover that gap there. But as ever, it's nice just to basically start laying everything out before you glue. Partly because you can move things around, but once it's down, you can slide around with your glue and it gets a bit messy. So as ever, what I'm going to do now, it's all in position. I'll just show you here, a few dots of glue. You don't have to do every leaf, you don't have to do the stem, and you'll be surprised at how well it sticks. So I'll just do this one and then again go on and just put the rest of it down. That's going to sit under that one there. So I'll just pop that into position now. So using my craft knife just to manipulate it, and it's just coming up over the edge there and down there. So my next one ready to glue. So I'll go on now and then we'll come back and I'll just pop the little heart in, and then we'll look at the doves, and we've still got the lovely flowers to look at as well. So everything's stuck down now, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue actually directly onto the card there, and then take my heart, which is tiny little heart here, and I've just got it again, I've just captured it with the end of my blade there and just pop that onto here, and I can just manipulate it around. I think that's roughly in position there. Yep, that's good. And then again, just a little bit of tissue to take up any excess, although it will dry clear. Okay, so there we go. That's our basic, so that's our leaf flourish and the heart in there. I think that looks really nice. It's all coming together beautifully. Now we've got the doves, and the heart came from that set, and it sits normally within the two doves there, so that's exactly what it's going to do now. But to give this a little bit of life, what I'm going to do is pop some foam pads on and then just turn and twist everything just to make it look a little bit more realistic. So how do we do that? Let me just show you. I tend to use my finger, and my fingers are fairly large, but I just pop it down like that and create some little curves. And I'm going to do this before I actually put the foam pads on. So I'm going to curve that, curve that. So all I'm doing is resting it on my finger and just popping it around like so. Exaggerate the movements because it will flatten down. If I just rest that there, you can see roughly what that's looking like now. Now, of course, with my foam pads, don't worry that looks like it's too much, because with my foam pads, they'll just lock it into position, but you get that lovely curve there. So on talking of foam pads, let me just get mine out, and I'm going to go for the 1mm ones and then build them up if I need to. So I'll just flip this over, just move the card out the way here a little bit, and we'll just move in on that, and I'll pop this one in the center there and just pull that off, and that really should be enough to hold it. But I'll just take some little slithers here just to help anchor it, because sometimes with just one foam pads things can move a little bit. So I'll pop a little slither on the wing there. That will help lift these wings up there. Whoops, that's sticking to me. And then just a little bit down there. So I'm just chopping small amounts, and again just pop that on there like so. Now you may use your a different method than the foam pads. You can use silicone to do this if you want to as well, but I don't quite like the foam pads, so I'll just pop this one on first, and I'm going to do exactly the same for the other one as well. So I'll just make sure there's a little bit of curve on everything there again, and then just line this up, and the hearts will just sit in that shape there, and just gently rest that on. And we've got a lovely little bit of lift on that, which creates a shadow and just gives that extra special look. Now I'll go on and do exactly the same now for the dove on the other side here. So just manipulate it and just create a little bit more of a curved shape. So the card is now stuck down with the doves in there, and you can see what I've done, I'll just pop that down for a second, is just put them down, their heads just glued, a little dob of glue, so they were creating an angle as going in and then around the heart. I think that looks really nice. The colours are working well, and it's just the finishing touches here, and all of that's going to be done with this die here, and that's from our wedding collection, and it's die number 59, and that gives you, I'll just pull this into shot, that gives you the flower set here, the bow, the ribbons, the heart and the glasses. So again, great little set to work with, not only for wedding days but anything really. These flowers look lovely, and I want to show you that right now. So what I've done is gone ahead and cut this, and we're going to build up with this and show you a lovely technique of decoupaging with it. It's a small little die in that set, but boy, I think you're going to have loads of fun with it. So the top set is just cut out from here, and what I'm going to do is just turn it upside down and stick it onto the base here. So what I'll do is, it's the lower parts here, and just pop a few little dots of glue onto there just to hold it. This glue's quite strong, so the other parts are just sticking out over the top, but I don't want them to stick down onto that level there. I'm just going to bring this down to here like so, and just have it sitting nicely like that. And again, just to finish it off, back with my little diamonds here, and I'll just scoop that up on the end of my craft knife there and just pop those in. Little touches that I think just look fantastic. That there. And there's a little dot as it cuts, it puts a little, what we call a piercing dot in there for you. So you've got a lovely, easy target to line up on. Again, these can be moved slightly. If you're not sure it's quite in the right position, the glue, I'll just show you there, you can just still manipulate those as well. So that's a handy technique, but you can't push them too far, but you've got a little bit of wiggle room in that. Okay, so those are our flowers there, and oh, I just love that. To me, it's amazing just as a tiny little embellishment like that can just bring everything together. Now, if I just bring back the other card and just show you here, this is what we're going to do, is build this set of flowers up using the die here. So what I've got is I've gone ahead now and I've cut it out, and I'll show you what we do. So the first one is going to look like this. So let me just come back and show you. That's our first layer cut in silver, and that's just going to go down there like so. And then we're going to build up, the rest of them are cut in our same sort of pearlescent card, and we're just going to build up with a range of flowers like this. Okay, so basically straightforward. I'll go on now and just glue this. This is now glued, and I'll just pop it down, a little bit of tissue just to lay it flat there like so. So that's my base layer. So the next thing to do is just build up with all the flowers, and what we've done is just cut these out. I'll just show you here. Just run that through the machine a few times and just cut out a range of the flowers here. And before I stick them down, and let me just bring some of the other ones into shot here. I've got a large and a smaller one there. Before I do that, whoops, I just flicked my diamond into the great blue yonder there. Oh, there we go. That's one of the disadvantages. Anyway, what I'm going to do is just pop those in position like this first of all. I've only got a few left, so I don't want to lose any more. I'll carefully pick those up. Again, pop them down. So I'll go on now and get all my flowers ready, and then I'll come back and just pop it into position. I'll show you. We'll just glue it and just arrange, do a little bit of flower arranging next. Okay, I've gone on ahead now and just stuck the diamonds in, and I've just been playing around with this, and there's no right or wrong, but let me just show you what I've done here, and then I'll just glue these into position. So, I meant to say, when sticking this one down, what I'm going to do is pop this one on the top, but I've kept that bit free there so I can put flowers behind it and build it up underneath. And well, there's no real right or wrong here. The nice thing is you can cut these lovely little petals out and just use them however you want to. Now, for gluing purposes, I'm just going to, whoops, put a dot of glue in the middle like so, and I'm going to slot the first one in underneath there like that. Again, no right or wrong, probably just bring it in a wee bit closer. It's quite nice to keep the diamond showing. That's my only real goal that I've got in mind here at the moment. So again, a little bit of glue on the middle there just to hold it into position. That's going to keep it sticking quite nicely. And just pop that one there like that, and then put this big one. So we're just kind of layering them on top of each other, but it is nice. Again, it's quite simple. Just cut them out. You could put a little bit of life to them by bending them slightly. Let me show you. Just, you know, you could work the flower petals a little bit as well if you wanted to. And we could actually use foam pads. We could build this up. A little bit of foam pad, 1mm foam pad might look quite nice as well, just to build them up and give a little bit more depth to it as well. So that would just help create the illusion of depth as well. But at this instance, I'm just going to glue these into position. So again, I'll hold that and I'll just go on now and do this. You can see I'm just going to build this up like so. So I'll go on ahead now and just, as I said, work this in, and then we'll come back and have a look. But I'm just creating a little posy, as it were, and then I'll probably going to pop a little foam pad under here just to raise this one up. And I might just see if I can come back and pop one in there, actually, just get a little bit of depth as well. Okay, if you are using foam pads to work with, again, just keep them stuck to about 1mm. You don't want to go any higher than that. So I've gone on, I've just popped a little few foam pads in there just to give me a little bit of lift. It was just a little bit of a last minute decision really on that one. And just showing you here, I'm just going to finish off with popping some more of these on here. A little bit of glue for these ones at the base, and then just show you here, just a simple little bit of foam pad goes on the back of that one there. Like so, just build that on top. So we get a little bit of depth going on, and that looks lovely. And then the last one here, again, I'm going to just round these off. And you could do this for all of them. It's a little bit fiddly, or I'll tell you what would be pretty good if I've got one to hand, which I haven't, but I'm going to use my pokey tool here. It's just putting a little bit of crease in like this can add some excitement to the flowers and the petals there. And last but not least on there, another bit of foam pad just to give it some depth, a little bit of squash on that, and that one's going to line up over the silver one there. And there we go, a lovely little posy of flowers there, with a nice bit of depth coming towards us forward there. No right and wrong, just building up and using some foam pads and just building, as I said, a little bit of depth. And here's the finished card, all done and complete, and I think you'll agree it looks absolutely lovely, doesn't it? So a serving suggestion on the words, we've got for you on your wedding day there in silver linen, and then all the lovely dice here just building up basically with our lovely card, a little bit of shimmery card there, pearlescent, to give it a little bit of excitement and buzz, because we're using lots of matte and layering really in the same colour, but it works and works so well, and these are colours we associate with weddings as well. Great card, use it as a serving suggestion, and we'll have a look at some more now. I'm going to do some slightly different techniques for you. For this next card, wedding day card, I'm going to introduce really all the dies that we've used before, but in a different format. And the paper here on the back, if we start with that, is from the Damask range on our Complete Wedding CD-ROM. That comes in a whole range of different colours, and I just find it a fantastic bedrock paper to use, as it were, for weddings. We've looked at the belt, we're using that again. The door here is just created out of a card and using the scoreboard, and I don't know if that's going to show up here, but it probably show a little bit better when we have a look at it. But I've used the scoreboard to create the door panels, a little bit of a brad in here, and we're using the small trellis arch die here to create, as we would the panels for the box, we've now got a panel here on the top of the door and a little bit of ribbon to finish it off. And last but not least, we've got our couple here, which is called the romantic couple die, but in this instance we've turned them into a bride and groom, just by change of colour of the clothes really, but the little veil here on her head I think is the finishing touch. It definitively makes her a bride. So I'm going to go ahead now and we'll just have a look at this, and just the various processes that we go through. Again, this is just as ever, one of my serving suggestions. I've gone, because we're matching the colour of the dress and everything, a yellow base card here to work with. And then again, this sort of a matte gold paper as our first layer. I'm trying not to be too gaudy with the colours, and I think that's important with our weddings. That said, you know, there's no golden rules on anything really. You just design it however you want to. Remember, pen at an angle so it doesn't flip up too much. Pick that up. And as ever, I'm just going to balance on 2 fingers to begin with first of all, and just gently rest that down so I'm happy it's where it needs to be. That's pretty much there, and a little bit more room at the base. And first layer down successfully. Same again for our damask here, and that's going to go down, so a little bit of glue on there. Going fairly close to the edge. Now I don't suggest that you glue on top of your work like I'm doing. I'm just making sure I don't spill over, but of course just trying to keep everything in camera for you there. But it's not a good practice if you go over, you'll pop a little bit of glue on that. So I'm just going to pop my glasses on here. Okay, and again, just same fare, just lining up, just keep everything nice and loose. It gives you that, so keep saying a little bit of wiggle room. Gently drop back down. That's all in position. And there we go. Fantastic. Right, so the next thing to do is just come back and look at the wording that we're going to use here. And in this instance, we've got on your special day. Now I've gone ahead and cut this. And if I just bring up all the words, what I'll do, as I've done on the first one, is just rest everything down here and pop it into position before I glue. That way, I know everything's going to fit and I'm going to be happy with the end result. So there we go. On your, just to say that I do everything by eye. I just visually pop it on there. You might think, well, where's their straight lines? If you've got a pattern on the back, you can follow that. But I wouldn't worry too much. I think if you can just keep everything looking right, that's all you've got to worry about. And if it's like that, that's obviously wrong. But if it's near enough, people aren't going to think, oh, that looks wrong. So it's just a visual thing, like so. And I'm just going to line this particular one, I'm just going to line them up slightly down that side. So the first thing I'm going to do now, because the rest of the elements have to work in around the type, is just go ahead now and stick this down, and then we'll have a look at the other elements that we're going to use and have a quick talk about those. So I've used from our larger wedding collection here, and again we're going to look at that when we come to do the full wedding stationery, but on your wedding day there, that's from that particular section. And now the next thing to do is just pop in this element here, which is again using our bell, and that's cut out of a matte gold, and that matches our backing paper as well. So there's colour coordination, and I think that's the key to all of this, just coordinating it. Stick to a few colours and then just try and match those wherever you can. Again, with the gluing of this, just a few dots, key places, one little dot, you'd be surprised how much it holds. There we go, and that'll just be fine there. I'm just going to work out some of the larger dots by just scraping it around. There we go. So that's down there. Put those, I'm going to bring this down a little bit here, just centering it up by eye, and just visually I'll just pop that in there like that. Again, use a little bit of kitchen towel to take off any waifs and strays. And where would we be without them? Some little diamonds, which I'm not going to lose. There we go, just up onto my craft knife here and just pop those in there, little touches that look lovely. Right, so the next element to put down here is the door. So the door comes in next, and this is using the, sorry, I think I said the small, it's actually the trellis arch from the larger one, or the popping box one, and to create the door here. And if I just jiggle that around, you can probably just see the lines, using a scoreboard to create the lines there, and a little brad to create the handle, And you can see I've popped my foam pads on the back here just to give me a little bit of lift. And that's going to go just about here. I've probably brought that one down a little bit low, to be honest, but I've stuck it down. Do you know, this is where I say you should just put all the elements down first. That's why you do it. Anyway, not to worry. Let me just line that up there. That's fine. And just rest that into position. And then we've got a little bow to go on there. So some glue onto that. And pop that the right way, and I'll just bring that down so we just see the top of the arch coming through there. I don't want to hide too much of that. I'll just hold that for a second to let it bond. There we go. And when that's dry, you can probably manipulate it in the ribbon a little bit more, but because it's a wet glue, it's just going to keep moving around, but I'm happy with that. That's in the right position there. So the next star of the show are our die from what we call the romantic couple. And you can see how you can build them up with the different colours. You could change the colour of her dress if you wanted to, and the hair. And if I just show you the back here, it's basically just built up with little bits of tape like so to hold it into position. And then the other elements put on top. But these are just brilliant for all these sort of occasions. And we can, I think, pop a few foam pads on there just to raise them up again. And then I'm going to chat about her veil. So I've covered this in other cards that we've made in a little bit more detail, the making of it. So if you want to have a look at that, and that will show you a little bit more about those. And if you go onto our website, I'm pretty sure we've done a little tutorial as well for you to have a look at. But they're nice and simple to work with. It's just a case of they interlock, but it's a great die, this one, for a sort of all occasions. Now the wedding it's perfect for as well, but it can be, I said, a romantic couple, so it could be for any occasion. Let me just I'll pop a few more in. I'll just put one there to hold their heads together a little bit higher, and I think that's probably just about there. So I'll go on now, just pop a few more on and just take those off and then position it down onto the paper. Foam pads are now down, and it's just a case of just popping this gently into position like so. And then I said a bit of wiggle room if you need it. Now with the veil, that just goes on to her head here. Now I would possibly at this point be tempted just to pop a little foam pad there, but only at that end. Whoops, it's more than we need. We just get rid of that bit. There we go. And then a little bit of glue on there just to stick to her head. And you'll see there's several places you can go. I sometimes favour coming in a little bit, but it is just personal choice. And I'll just rest that down there and just let it hang. Whoops. I'm going to come back and sort that glue out in a minute. I just want to get rid of that little bit of foam pad that's cheekily sticking away under there. And now with my trusty kitchen towel, just take off my excess of glue. And that just rests on there, and any excess glue will disappear. And again, a last finishing touch will be a little diamond on there as well. Fantastic. And there we go. And here is the finished card, and lots of little elements on it. We've used the romantic couple as a bride and groom, but we could also turn it into an anniversary card if you wanted to. Just popping them on the door here using our scoreboard to put a bit of detail in, and our words, and a nice little embellishment at the top here just finishes off the card, and our damask paper gives it that lovely sort of classy look as well. So this is just an idea or a suggestion for you for your own cards. We could turn it into an anniversary card or anything for a special occasion as well. And for my final card here, I want to show you this one, which is our wedding card again. And this is on your special day, but we're looking at a more sort of tropical or exotic wedding. we'll look at the words here. On your special day could be great for any occasion, can't it? It could be, you know, birthdays, anniversaries, etc. And so that's one of the dies we're using there. Our old favourites coming back in here, the bells, which just seem to work so well. But we're also going to introduce the small hearts and the little champagne glasses as well, and a few little bubbles rising up there. And of course our romantic couple, which are now again the bride and groom in this instance as well. So matte and layering. Background paper is from our complete wedding CD, and that's from the tropical wedding section, or what I call the exotic selection as well. Okay, so let's put everything down, and we'll just run through a simple, really matte and layering card for this one. I'm going to start with simple matte and layering again, using a glue pen here, run that through there. Now I've used a little bit of Miri board here, and I'm trying to recycle a little bit. There's a few little creases and lines in it, but because it is matte and layering and all of that's going to disappear, I think we can get away with it. I'm just trying to conserve really where I can my card. So the first layer goes down there. So with my tape pen I'll just pop a little bit of glue onto there, and again matte and layer everything. So this is our scene here. Usual fare now, nothing new there. Just rest that down, and that goes into position there. Now the words that we've used, on your special day, like so. And again I'm going to cut these out in silver, and then we'll just pop those. We'll begin by popping those in position there and just working our way down with the rest of the elements. So to cut the words, I'm going to again just use a bit of silver Miri board here, pop it down, working towards an edge just because that's got a better bite, as it were, when it cuts, and then run that through the machine. I go through once and then just back again like so. I'll just carefully pick that up, pop the machine to one side. There we go, that's the top bit on there, and a little tap just to get the words out. If you're unsure, if I go like this, you'll see them sort of bouncing out, but if you don't want it to go everywhere, you can just use your pokey tool. Usually they'll drop out as well. Just certain Miri boards are a bit stringier than others, but you can see they'll just drop out, or just use your Miri board like so. Your pokey tool, just to control it. That's a bit dramatic when you bash it, but the dies will be fine. Don't ever panic about the die. Right, so those are my words there, on your special day. Let's bring the card back, and that's just going to go up into the corner there. As ever, I'm going to lay out my elements on here just to make sure I don't go wrong, and I'm going to just work in the corner here. So on your, whoops, I'm just using my craft knife here just to basically get the positioning right. On your special day, we could do it like so, and in fact let's just bring it over a little bit as well. On your special day, like so. So I'm just going to slightly offset it, and then we've got our wedding bells up there. Let's just pop those into position like so. So again, just check. And then our romantic couple are going to be down here on the beach. Right, so I think at this point I'm just going to go ahead now and just glue this down into position. And then we'll come back and we'll look at the little hearts. We'll just look at the elements as we work our way through. I've gone ahead now, as you can see, and I've popped down on your special day. I've popped the bells there, and we've got the hearts to go on next. And I'm just going to rest that gently into position there, because I'm going to just do the romantic couple as well. But I'll pop that upside down, so I don't want that to stick just yet. And we're going to talk about the heart. We're just going to give that a little bit of lift. But I want to make sure that these people are on the beach and I've got my heights and everything right. So I'm going to just pop that element there, and that's fine. So that's good. And probably just centre that a wee bit, because we're going to put our two glasses of champagne down there. So if I just, what I'm doing is just really setting the scene here, but it really is worthwhile because it can go wrong, and then those two glasses could just be, they're just going to be touching. So we'll come back and pop a little bit of a, stick one down and put one with a foam pad that's in the foreground so it's nearer to you. So the elements are all there, they're all in position, and they're all going to work nicely. So let's just have a quick look at this romantic couple here, because these are actually the bride and groom on the tropical beach. And what I need to do now is just pop these two together. And the first thing I'm going to do here is just show you this one. Now, I have covered it in loads of different areas but just to show you how easy it is, they kind of interlock. Let me just show you. So his hand's got to come over there. She will just drop into here. And she's got a lovely sparkly dress on, very similar colour to her skin, but it is different. And you can see that just lock into there like so. And they touch at the bottom. There's a little bit of space to them, and they just lock in at the bottom. So that's it in position there. You can see our other tape on there, just holding them in at that point. I've got a little bit of masking tape here, so I'll just pop that there. It's all it needs, because when you glue it, all these elements will just come together for you there. So just make sure that's okay there. And just to keep that in position, I'll pop another little bit. And he takes a second, just keeps the pressure on there and make sure that there's no gap. And there we go, that's our romantic couple there, stroke bride and groom. And again, she'll have her headdress, and I'll just pop that on there. So I know that's okay. I'll just leave it there for the moment. Let's come back and have a look at the heart here. So first one on, and a few dots of glue just to hold it into position. Like so. Just spread that around a little bit more. And I'm just looking at this and a little bit more centralised in the card and at an angle. Now for the next part here, I've popped, and that's the bit that comes out the middle. I've put a foam pad on there, and that should be enough to hold it, but because I'm not sure really where that's going to go at this stage. So foam pad on there, that one at an angle, and that just lifts it up and gives a little bit of life to it as well. Okay, back to the romantic couple really, just pop that to one side there. We could put these onto foam pads. I think they'd benefit from that. It will just pull them out from the rest of the card. So again, flip it over, and what I'm going to do now is just use my 1mm foam pads here. So I'll go on, just stick these into position, and we'll come back and then attach this to the card. I've popped my foam pads on the back there. I'm just going to rest these down here, a bit closer to the bottom there. And again, you've got a little bit of wiggle room, and just pop them on there. And that 1mm is just enough to give it a little bit of lift. And I think it just makes it look that bit extra special. Pop a little bit of glue on the headdress there, and I put a 1mm foam pad, just like the last one. Oops, that's not such a good thing to drop it. Sticking to my finger there. Remember, try and get that nice and vertical if you can. A little bit of an angle there, and I just want to bring that in just a little bit more. It's just, I mean, you could imagine it's in the wind and it's blowing. It could be, it's wherever you want to put it. I just have a picture in my mind's eye, and again, a little diamond onto there. Brilliant. So it's just about ready. Final finishing touches now. I'm going to put one of these glasses here. Let's just stick that straight down with glue, like so. Again, don't work on your card like I'm doing there. And we're going to have these out there sort of saying cheers. And all I'm going to do now is pop some foam pads on this one, and then come back and stick it into position. I've put some foam pads on this glass, and because it's going to be nearer to us, it's just got to sit slightly taller if you're doing that with the foam pads like that. And there we go. And last but not least, and a little bit lower down towards us as well. That just helps with the perspective. And then I'm just going to go on ahead now and just pop some of these diamonds in here. And then I've got to pop his bow tie on, and the card is then finished. And here is the finished card. We've got all the elements in place. Doesn't take too long, but I think it looks quite nice. Again, a great one if it's for a slightly more exotic wedding and we're sending them a congratulatory card. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this. As I said, these are just sort of wedding cards that we've looked at. We will come back and do a show all about wedding stationery for you, taking it from the invites, save the dates, right the way through to all the stationery menus, etc., etc. As well. So that'll give you an idea of sort of a more complete overview of the wedding stationery. I hope you've enjoyed this show and it's given you some ideas and inspirations that you can bring in to your own card making. Take care. Bye-bye.